The idea of owning a home felt like a pipe dream.
That's BECU member Leandra talking about her home buying experience.
So we went to BECU where I met our mortgage advisor, Lauren, and she was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how you buy a home.
As a not-for-profit credit union, BECU helps members find the right home loan to meet their needs. Learn more at becu.org/home loans. BECU, power in people. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS ID 490518. Members were compensated for participation.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Yeah. Bozeman, Montana man endured multiple attacks from the same grizzly bear over the weekend. He was scouting for elk near Enos, Montana. Not only did Todd Orr live to tell the tale of what happened, but it was a truly horrifying ordeal. He also posted the story to his Facebook page with a short video he filmed himself immediately after the mauling took place.
Have you seen a picture of what it looked like when he recorded it?
No.
He is, or I just saw the still from it. So he survived the two attacks. Mm-hmm. He's doing this video for safety reasons, but he's fairly calm, but his face is mauled. I mean, there's blood pouring out and everything else.
Quote, life sucks in bear country. He says in the video while recounting the attack, just had a grizzly with two cubs come at me from about 80 yards away. According to Orr, he hit the grizz with a full charge of high-powered bear spray, but it did not deter her from mauling his head, arm, and shoulders as he attempted to feign death while simultaneously protecting the back of his neck with his hands. I went to my face in the dirt and wrapped my arms around the back of my neck for protection. She was on top of me, biting my arms, shoulders, and backpack. The force of each bite was like a sledgehammer with teeth. She would stop for a few seconds, then bite again, over and over. After a couple of minutes, what seemed like an eternity, she disappeared. Thank God, after the attack, Orr was able to pull himself up and head for the safety of his vehicle.
Quick question amongst us, all right? You're attacked by the bear, you play dead successfully, the bear leaves. How long do you continue to lay there before you give yourself the all clear?
Long enough where he was able to, I mean, the bear, I would say to you look around and you'll see that bear.
But here's the problem. You're playing dead, so how long before you even look around? Because the bear's looking at you and you lift your head to look around. So, oh, he's not dead.
Mm-hmm. I would lay there a couple extra minutes.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is
200.
The bear disappeared. So he was able to get up, and even though he was all messed up, he was able to pull himself up, head for the safety of his car. That's when the bear returned and decided to have another go. After braving the storm of another attack, he eventually got up and hiked 3 miles. He was 3 miles still away from his car. Back to his truck before filming the short video, Steve, that you saw, and driving himself to the nearest hospital. Todd says that the message here is that bear spray doesn't always work. Nope. Person, place, or thing, what is so unlucky you swear it must be cursed? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Cameron. Welcome to the men's room. Hello, Cameron.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
So, my curse is I will find an upper cabinet with the back of my head no matter where I go.
Are you particularly tall?
Not really. I'm that 5'10" range.
An upper cabinet meaning, you mean like a kitchen counter?
Yes, I install countertops, and so I'm always in kitchens around your stove vents and all that, and I don't know what it is.
Huh. Well, yeah, I think it has a lot to do with your profession.
Sure. But you think at 5'10", you would avoid most of that. But you don't.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I know they're there, and I go through days where I'm looking, I'm scouting them out, I'm trying to find my spot, and as soon as I'm getting ready to leave, boom.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst injury you sustained as a result of hitting your head on a cabinet? You ever knocked yourself down, knocked yourself out?
Once I got a little woozy, but that felt just more like it was just a good hit that one day, but nothing too serious.
So are you installing the countertops or are you installing the cabinets? Are you installing the countertops or the cabinets?
Cabinets. Or not cabinets, countertops. I install stone.
Huh, okay, all right.
You ever drop one of those on your fingers?
I have one healing right now.
Are we talking?
Just fell off, and
are we talking?
Feel good.
Granite, cement, tile,
granite, quartz, marble.
What is the worst one to work with?
Oh, marble. It's the most expensive and it is the most fragile.
What is the thing that you pay a lot of money for, but it doesn't hold up? It's not that great of an option. It's not that you didn't make the best choice.
I mean, most people, I would say marble. I mean, it looks nice, but for like your kitchen, it's a high traffic area and it scratches so easy, and people look at us like, you didn't say it scratched. And I'm like, oh, we aren't the guys that sold it to you.
I'll tell you what, my wife and I, we're preparing now to get the kitchen redone. So we have to go through all the scrap, and we're doing a massive island top. And one of the things you're going through materials. We both agreed immediately, because people say marble. One, I think marble's ugly. I just do. I don't like it in kitchens. That's just me. It's
I thought granite was like top of the line for kitchens.
Granite kind of sucks too, in my opinion, right? So marble is super porous. So part of the problem is, if you do like marble, then you do like it. I just don't like it, so it's not part of our conversation. But we both agreed there's no way, and just for the things you listed, I'm like, I'm not spending a bunch of money for something that's fragile when we have children in the house, we have a dog in the house, and frankly, you have me in the house, right? All that. Then it was granite, and we had granite in our first house. I know people go on about it, hated it, don't like it at all.
No, that's fair too.
I can't remember the name of what we're doing, because all these things have all these different goddamn names for the product. But it's kind of a smoother top. It is non-porous, which was huge for me, so it doesn't stain and all that.
Is it quartz?
No, it's not quartz. It kind of, man, I don't know what it's called. It might end with an ite.
When I was a kid,
quartzite?
Maybe.
That's also real pretty stuff.
It might
mainly
be.
Our favorite's quartz.
Silestone?
No, we looked at silestone. I'm not against that. But yeah, marble was out, granite was out. So all these things that people go, hey, this is nice. I always think my experience with granite, F that. Marble, it's just too much money for some. It just doesn't hold up, like you were saying. So it's a weird process to go through, and I hate that I'm learning about all this stuff, because deep down I have no interest, but since I'm about to spend money on it, I have to know.
Yeah, I mean, I just lived in a condo that had the granite. I thought it was awesome.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It's just the durability issue, just in the house with the kids and all that. I'm like, this is not for us. But I'm learning all this crap about all these different services you can do for countertops, and it reminded me of when we were getting married. You know, your wife can say, hey, I want to get flowers for the wedding. Well, of course you do, right? Great. And she started saying these flowers, and I'm like, I've never heard of what you're telling me. I don't know what these are. So I got a crash course in flowers, and much like these countertops, like, I don't care, but I have to know. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't say a rose or a daisy, I don't know what the plant
use
looks
the
like.
Countertops.
I know I use the countertop.
Flowers are
flowers, but the flowers I adhere.
Right.
Because you don't get just one kind of flower. It's like, we want to get these, and then we get some of those, and I have to learn about 4 different flowers, and I don't care. And then when I saw them, I'm like, yeah, they look like flowers.
I was going to say, when I was a kid, I remember we got Formica.
Oh God, we had that growing up, man.
And I thought it was the fanciest stuff ever.
Oh, we got linoleum floors in our one kitchen. I was like, look out, like that's the kind of thing you go to school like, we just put linoleum in our kitchen.
Exactly. So we got Formica.
Here's
we
one
bought
hits,
a car named after a gem. It's called a topaz.
One that kind of hits close to home, but not nearly the severity. Roy Sullivan was a park ranger in Virginia for decades, a time during which he endured multiple lightning strikes. Sullivan actually holds the world record for being struck by lightning. He was first hit in 1942. This resulted in the loss of a big toe. Mm-hmm. When he was struck again, it was 1969. At this point in time, he lost his eyebrows. Now, when I say he lost his eyebrows, he permanently lost his eyebrows.
Like they fried out of his face.
They never grew back. And subsequent strikes in 1970, 1972, and 1973 caused burned hair and burned skin. Sullivan was hit twice more in 1976 and 1977. His long career also brought him face-to-face with bears, as many as 22 times. Field and Stream reported that Sullivan described the moment before getting struck by lightning in detail. You can smell sulfur in the air, and then your hair will stand on end, and then it's going to get you. You don't have time to do anything.
It's going to get you.
Sullivan died in 1983.
I remember that guy vividly, and my brother, every year my brother would get the Guinness Book of World Records, right? That was his thing, because everyone was trying to break records, and there were less dumb records back then. But that dude, the record never changed. Yeah. And then we saw him.
I mean, there's so much lightning in that area.
But it was like on In Search Of or something, one of those old shows, but we couldn't believe we're now actually getting to see this guy that we've been reading about for years, struck 7 times. And he was just a regular dude But yeah, when he talks about the lightning strikes, he's like, he kept one of the cowboy hats he was wearing. It was either like a sheriff's hat, cowboy hat, something. Lightning hit him in the head.
Right.
And one of the things he kept was his hat. My brother and I were amazed when he held the hat up. It looked like a toaster slit. Mm-hmm. It was just burnt. It was a clean-ass line, but it was like, yeah, but the top of my head is where this lightning bolt went.
Well, the problem is, it's like growing up in that area. I know for a fact that you always need to look west for the most part, especially if you're doing anything in the outdoors, because that stuff comes, I mean, we get wind here, but after it gets over the Rockies, you know what it does to the Midwest.
Right.
I mean, you've seen the destruction. Stuff just comes buzzing through there. And then by the time it hits the Appalachians, although they're not the highest mountain range in the world, they're often higher than the clouds. So the clouds have to dump before they can even rise up to be able to, get over the top of those mountains. So they have thunder showers, and hell, even in Baltimore, you see big black clouds coming that went over top of those mountains, and they're crazy, but they will stop there and dump as much rain as possible in the form of a thunderstorm, lightning, hail, you name it. Then they'll get over the top of the mountains. Then they pick up steam again and go blast D.C., go blast Baltimore.
But he's still unlucky because he's not the only person that lives. And like everyone that lives in that area,
he's also a park ranger. Right. He's outside.
All right, that's my question. Is he unlucky, or is it just law of averages because he's outside all the time?
Yeah, but
it's not protected by the.
It can't. Well, I don't know, because it depends on the law of average. Law of averages, you get struck by lightning twice, I just figure you're a dead man. Dude just never died, and when he did die, it was not from a lightning strike.
I'm not that impressed with 7.
You're not impressed with 7.
I once heard of a guy that got struck 66 times.
Person, place, or thing. What is so unlucky you swear it must be cursed? 206-421-RON.
Hello, Mark. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So, I'm pretty sure the month of June is cursed.
Why is that?
So, every month, or every June that rolls around, I would say about every other June, something traumatic happens to me. For example, this year, I just wrecked a car pulled out in front of me, and I ate a telephone pole, basically broke my wrist and a finger, my nose-picking finger.
What were you, what were you walking? Were you riding? What were you doing?
Riding a bicycle.
Okay. Well, that's an important part. That's an important part of the story.
Sure.
Correct. Well, the bicycle plays a part in it, too. Now that I think about it, maybe a bike's cursed. That was 10 years to the day on June 4th that I was riding my bike in Wright Park. My bike front tire slid out of underneath me. I landed on my face, severed my eyelid, broke my wrist, broke my hand, put a gaping hole in my kneecap, and had to ask these girls walking by if they could help me find my glasses.
I was going to say, did the glasses cut your eye with a helmet on?
My face, I landed on my face, so I wear a full face helmet. When I do wear a helmet, I was not wearing a helmet. I was just out for an evening stroll, and so I had to take my broke ass into Tacoma General, and they did do a toxicology report before they gave me any pain medicine because I was probably in shock, but I handled it pretty damn well. Okay. You could see through my right wrist, you could see like tendons and stuff because I road rashed really, really bad. The June before that, I got fired, and then I ended up getting fired at the end of June from that job because I couldn't go to work for like 3 weeks because I was effed up.
Jesus.
And then before that, the June before that, I got in a car wreck on the way home from work, and not a bad one, bad enough to remember. And immediately that night, I had my phone, and I went over to some friend's house, and they had a patio furniture that had a little pouch in it. And I was like, oh, let me put my phone inside there. And I put my phone inside there, and there was water in there. So it was a brand new phone that I didn't have insurance on. So I wrecked my car and then destroyed my phone all in like a 3-hour period. That was on June. And then I got married in June once. So that could have been the kicker.
Yeah.
Are you divorced now?
You want to hear a funny story?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Guess when I got served with the divorce papers?
June.
Guess what happened in June? Like a week. I'm not kidding. A week later, guess what happened?
What happened?
I got laid off from Mercury. Mercury discontinued their automotive line, so I got laid off.
Oh, right.
Oh, so you lost your job and your wife in the same month. You should take June off.
It gets better. It gets better.
Your dog died.
So I called my bank to let them know that, hey, there's going to be some delinquent payments. And they came and repossessed my motorcycle and my car and my toolbox on the last day of June.
All right, let me ask you something about working for Mercury. So you're right, they discontinued the line. Were you guys privy to any of this information, or was it just kind of like one day they let everyone know you're done?
Couple things. Motorcraft took their loan before the auto industry went kaput, and so we knew that. But judging by the amount of work we weren't doing, we knew something was wrong. The last 2 years that I was working there, really all I did was either loops or warranty work.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If you could go back in time and get one Mercury vehicle, is there one that you would like to have right now?
Milan.
What's that?
A Mercury Milan.
Oh, Mercury. I'm not familiar with that one.
Similar to the Lincoln, it's slipping my mind, the Lincoln LS. Same body platform, different interior, different body, but basically one was a Lincoln, one was a Mercury. They're both motorcrafts.
All right, yeah, I recognize.
We're looking at a little bit larger vehicle.
I mean, look, I make fun of the Topaz I had, but that thing went for like 150,000. I mean, that thing ran.
I mean, that's the thing. The cars that people make fun of, right? Like this piece of S. I'm like, man, you have 200,000 miles. You've owned it for 15 years, and you've only taken it to the shop twice.
Yeah, I mean, that thing finally caught on fire, which wasn't the Mercury's fault. But, right, that was 2002, and that was in 1990.
Weren't Mercury's considered like a little bit of a step up from the Ford as far as the way that they're trimmed out? Weren't they a little bit nicer?
It was like Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, yeah.
Yeah, to me, they're on par.
Okay.
They were just kind of just a subsidiary of Ford. I don't know if I would consider it better.
It's supposed to be.
Okay.
Right, because like Ford had the Tempo, Mercury had the Topaz, and then Lincoln was like the top echelon. Look, Mike, you're not wrong that they're probably like pretty similar. I'm just saying it's like what are the other ones?
The Gap, Banana Republic, and there's one more. But as you get up,
right,
all the same.
There's Old Navy,
three tiers.
the Gap, and then Banana Republic.
Right, but Banana Republic is the Lincoln.
Right,
correct.
Person, place, or thing. What is so unlucky you swear it must be cursed? 206-421-ROCK.
Sorry, I had to let it go. How long did you have that Mercury, Ted? Did the family get it in 1990?
My dad bought it in 90 or 91, and then, I got it in high school, and then, I guess it was 2002, almost 2003, that thing finally caught on fire and died. But again, the Mercury was running. It just
burst into flames.
Yeah, the guy that worked on it made some mistakes.
He did it. That basically what his repair job is what sealed the deal. No pun intended, but he put like a sealant on something and it caught on fire, right?
Right.
Then you try to warn him, like, hey, dude, it smells.
I called him, right. I was like, there's a lot of smoke. And he's like, it's just the engine cleaner burning off. Don't sweat it. So I said, okay. And then, that's when people were like, your car's on fire. And I realized it was literally on fire.
Yeah. Person, place, or thing. What is so unlucky that you swear it must be cursed? 206-421-ROCK.
The idea of owning a home felt like a pipe dream.
That's BECU member Leandra talking about her home buying experience.
So we went to BECU where I met our mortgage advisor, Lauren, and she was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how you buy a home.
As a not-for-profit credit union, BECU helps members find the right home loan to meet their needs. Learn more at becu.org/home loans. BECU, power in people. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS ID 490518. Members were compensated for participation.
99.9 KISW. The men's room returns with Miles and Thrill.
Our question, person, place, or thing. What is so unlucky that you swear must be cursed? Here's the story of Violet Jessup.
Violet Jessup?
Don't mind Violet as far as an old school name.
You ever met a Violet?
No, but it doesn't really. I guess that's probably why I have no negative connotation.
Because you never met one.
I never met a mean Violet. This doesn't seem like if your name was Violet, you could be just a mean person.
Wasn't Violet Beauregard, is that her name? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? It was Violet Beauregard. Yeah. All right.
That's the only Violet I've ever met was a stripper.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet she was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you pay them to be nice.
Yeah, of course.
I would do that just in regular life. Violet Jessup spent most of her life at sea, becoming a steward for several oceanic companies when she was in her early 20s. She worked on several ships before joining the RMS Olympic in 1911.
Damn.
She was aboard the Olympic when it was involved in a collision, but transferred to the RMS Titanic in 1912. So when Titanic struck the iceberg in April of 1912, Jessup was in fact asleep. But she got up and helped rescue several women and children as the ship sank and secured a seat in one of the lifeboats as well.
Nice.
She recalled, I was ordered up on the deck. Calmly, passengers strolled about. I stood at the bulkhead and the other stewardess and myself, watching the women cling to their husbands before being separated and being put into boats with their children. Sometime after a ship's officer ordered us into a boat, boat number 16, first to show some women it was safe. As the boat was being lowered, the officer said, "Here, Miss Jessup, look after this baby."
Damn.
And she dropped the baby onto my lap. Well, Jessup was safely rescued. She then returned to work on Olympic in the late fall of 1912, served as a nurse on the ship during World War II. Then 4 years later, in 1916, she changed ships again, this time to the Britannic, the sister ship of the Olympic and Titanic. In 1916, Britannic hit a mine and sank. Jessup was injured. She hit her head on the keel of the ship, but she survived. She worked aboard ships until 1950. When she retired, she died in 1971. When I say she hit her head on the keel of the ship, I don't even know if you understand what that would mean.
What does it
Based
mean?
on how big that ship is. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? That's like that's a smack to the head. Somehow she survived.
What's the keel again?
Runs on the bottom. So the ship had
Thing a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't believe she continued to serve on ships. I feel like, all right, look, man, the first one, got in a collision. I go, okay, I can live with that. Fine. Titanic, I'm definitely not doing it. But you convinced me to come back. Then I'm on the Britannica. Like after that, like she kept doing this for another 40 years.
Here's another one from the history books. Of the roughly 283,000 Japanese survivors on of the atomic blast that obliterated the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, a man was in rare company. Only about 10 unlucky souls were witnesses to both bombings. But this man was the unluckiest case on record. I believe his name is Tsutomu Yamaguchi. In 1945, he was 29 years old, and he worked as an engineer for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and was in Hiroshima on August 6th for a business trip. Stepping off a tram, he was hit by a blinding, quote, white light. Quote, little boy, the first atomic weapon ever used in war, had detonated just 2 miles away. Yamaguchi survived, but suffered serious burns across his torso and 2 ruptured eardrums. More than 80,000 men, women, and children perished in that blast. So obviously, he's eager to get home. So Yamaguchi braved the peak radiation zone of downtown Hiroshima to catch a train the very next day to Nagasaki. Then on August 9th, while in his office telling his boss about the horrors that he witnessed in Hiroshima, the U.S. forces dropping the Fat Man, they dropped the Fat Man on Nagasaki. As the room filled with the same blinding white light, I thought the mushroom cloud had followed me from Hiroshima, he told a British publication in 2009. Yamaguchi kept quiet about his double bombing status until his 80s, when he wrote a memoir called Twice Bombed, Twice Survived. He became an advocate for denuclearization. It was my destiny that I experienced this twice. I'm still alive to convey what happened. Our question, person, place, or thing. What is so unlucky that you swear it must be cursed? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Dylan. Welcome to the men's room.
Dale!
Dale!
Hola.
Hola.
So what is so unlucky you swear it must be cursed?
So my curse is I am a Red Sox fan living in Washington.
And what is the curse?
And every time the Red Sox come and play your fabulous team, they seem to lose.
Is that right?
I've been to 7 games.
Huh. How many have they lost of the 7 you've been to?
Every one of them.
I'll be damned.
I think
that's weird.
The curse is you then, all right? Because let's face it, the Red Sox themselves have been a solid team for the last 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to the game, that's when they fall apart. They might need to blacklist you out of the stadium if they're playing.
Well, otherwise, they're a pretty good baseball team. That's the good news.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel bad for you. What do you guys have, like 4 World Series in the last 15, 20 years? Like, oh, they don't win in person.
And not only that, but
It's baseball. It's pretty normal to lose a game per series.
But not only that, but
7.
Yeah, but you're only.
Don't you want to see your team win?
Ted, how many times they only make the Mariners might play in Boston one series, but they're not coming out here more than once a year, right? As far as the non-divisional series go with
it might
teams,
be twice.
It might be twice.
Yeah, but one home, one away, right? So playing.
I'm not positive.
I just got, for some reason, based on the fact that you play a couple National League teams every year, I thought the deal was, unless you're in the division, which you play multiple times, then if you're outside the division, typically you'll do a home and away, and that's it. But maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I do know, because Mike and I were talking about this Monday. We said, look, if we go to the Mariners-O's game, it's not going to be a very good game. Now, it worked out for me as an O's fan, but the game itself still was not good. It was a blowout. Today's game is a blowout, but the Mariners are winning, all right? But the game, so we went Monday, and we said, one way or another, it's not going to be a good game. And it wasn't. We had a good time. The game itself, not competitive. Yesterday, they have their amazing game. And we even said, that tomorrow being Tuesday at that point, it's going to be a good game, and we're not going to be there. And sure enough, it was a good game, and we weren't there. Same thing happened last year. We go to the game. The Mariners win the one game we go to, and it's a blowout. The next 2 games they played in that series went to extra innings. I mean, they were like these crazy, remarkable games. And I'm like, I would like to sit there with Mike and see one of these, because every time they play, they're very competitive as far as split. But not when we go. Ever. It does not work out that way.
I think it's also just a matter of how many games you go to. Like, I don't have any of those thoughts about Sounders games because I go to so many.
Right.
So it's not like I walk in and go, but like Seahawks games, because I only go to a couple a year, I'm like, they're going to win today. I'm here in person. Now, I thought they were going to lose to the Niners, the last one I went to, and they won.
Because you were there.
Right. But I only really go into the stadium like once a year. So I think a lot of that just has to do with how many you go.
It does. But then there's weird things that happen. You go to the Sounders game. We can be losing. My wife will get up to do anything, but if her back turns to the field, the Sounders scored. It's gotten to the point.
Oh, yeah, I miss goals.
We had a very close, it was like 3 or 4 seasons ago. It's coming down to it. I can't remember who we were playing. The game had been chippy. The crowd's real into it. It was you just want to win more just to say F you to the other team, because it's that kind of game, right? And my wife, she looks at me, there's maybe 90 seconds left in regulation. She looks at me and she goes, I'm going to go get a drink. I'm like, you're going to miss the end of the game. She goes, I'm getting a drink because I promise you if we leave, we'll score. I watched her disappear into the tunnel, and I swear, as soon as she disappeared from view, Sounders came from behind, we won the game. I was like, cool. So now it's like, people in our section, the other season ticket holders, be like, hey, man, tell your wife to go to the bathroom, get a drink, something. Yeah. So we can get a goal. And I don't know what it is. Like, the Sounders want to do well, but they don't want to do well in front of her. Like somehow they never want to impress my wife. So, you know what? If you can get up and not look, we'll go ahead and score goals.
I think there's certain players. Like, back in the day, I mean, this is a long time ago, but we were Orioles fans. There used to be a guy named Jesse Orozco.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He was an older pitcher, but he was like a middle reliever.
Right.
But it was like, didn't matter what the score was. If he came in, he just gave up doubles. And I remember we were sitting at the game. It's like me and my brother. I'm probably like 19 or 20s. I think I'd had a beer or two. And they bring him in, and of course, he throws one pitch. It gets ripped off the wall for a double.
Yay. So were people upset when they brought him out? Because fans started getting like, man, it's not you personally. We don't want to see you out here because we know it doesn't matter what you've done all season. You're going to come out here and blow it.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. Like Maryland football 2001, they were actually good, and they kept winning at home. They ended up going to the Orange Bowl. But right, I was the bad luck charm. So I made it into one game. Maryland gave up a touchdown, and everybody in my family was like, well, you and Bernie, go back outside and start drinking again.
I'm not too far off from this woman who has lost 5 homes in 5 hurricanes. I did not lose 5 homes. Every time a hurricane came in our area, it always seemed like my home was involved to an extent where something needed to be done.
Right.
So in other words, I know this sounds stupid, but it's just the honest to God truth. When a hurricane comes, at least in the neighborhoods that I lived in, typically someone would go and buy a bunch of beer. Also, tons of meat. You bring meat. You have a party.
Right.
I know it sounds dumb, but everybody goes home.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at home. You got stuff. People are going to barbecue. It's kind of like a little neighborhood get-together. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what goes down.
But you're probably going to be off work. It's like a snowstorm.
Yeah. First time it happens, basically, my basement floods.
Sure.
I do all this work to this basement to get this basement basically flood-proof, so to speak. The installation of a French drain all the way around the basement, which is basically an area where hopefully the water will not go in the basement. It'll work its way around the perimeter.
Right.
There's gravel down there. It'll go lower than the base. I install a sump pump. I install all these things. Put down carpet again. After dragging the carpet out the first time. Hurricane comes again. This time, the sump pump starts to work in the corner where it's supposed to work. Then the power goes out for 2 weeks. The entire basement floods again. This is the second time. Now, keep in mind, people are partying. I've got a grill going.
Right.
I've got a grill going too upstairs. There's people in my house while this is going on. All right. Third time, different house, same neighborhood. Hurricane comes again. This time, I need to go to work. It's very important I go to work. My next door neighbor, we're sitting there, the eye goes through. What's the first thing that comes through the eye? A tornado on the backside of the hurricane, which goes through his backyard, and then with the wind from that power, knocks a tree across my driveway, about 3 feet away from my garage door, where my car is parked, and I'm an emergency service person. I have to go to work.
Right.
So now I've got a chainsaw in a pouring down rainstorm, cutting a tree that's pretty sizable, an oak tree, into 3-foot sections that I'm rolling out of the way so I can pull my car out of the driveway just to get to work at 2:30 in the morning.
See, that's when I call into the station and say, look, I'll be on the air. Keep me on the phone line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not coming in, man.
Yeah. Melanie Martinez, lucky to be alive. In 2012, her husband and her mom trapped in their attic as a storm surge from Hurricane Isaac flooded her home south of New Orleans. They desperately hammered and punched their way through the roof. They were finally rescued. Martinez chose to rebuild her home 5 times in the same floodplain.
Stop.
What are the odds that Hurricane Betsy, 1965, Juan, 1985, George, 1998, Katrina, 2005, and Isaac would rip through each and every one of the homes? To add insult to injury, Martinez's last house, you might have seen it. It was selected for a $20,000 makeover by the A&E reality show Hideous Houses. They installed a new kitchen, new appliances, the whole 9 yards, a new sewing room. Transformation was aired a few weeks before the arrival of Hurricane Isaac.
Oh, no.
Needless to say, all that's gone. Person, place, or thing, when it's so unlucky you swear it must be cursed, 206-421-ROCK.
Some point, stop building there.
I was saying, you rebuilt it 5 times
In the same spot.
In the same spot, same floodplain.
Right. This is not being unlucky. This is being dumb. At that point, you stop building there. Don't do it there.
Yeah, maybe just move 200 yards somewhere else.
Something. A little higher up, anything. Hello, Doug. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how you doing?
Hola.
All right, I'll make this quick, and yes, I got to turn on the filter. All right, December of 1985. Let's start off with that one. I was one of the troops that was part of the 1st 9th Infantry Division units to go to the Sinai Peninsula. I was slotted to fly out the first wave of troops to replace the 101st. I got bumped up to advanced party. We flew over on 747s. The next group that flew over on C-141s. Now, ultimately what happened was the Aero Air, dog snot, give me a second. It was a Airbus one something or other. I forget the nomenclature on it. But anyway, when they dropped off that first wave of troops in the Sinai Peninsula at Ras Nasrani Airport, they reloaded with the first wave coming out of the 101st.
All right.
I missed that plane. I didn't ride it over. That plane crashed in Newfoundland. 248 troops dead.
Dang. Jesus.
Now, that's the one that's blatant why I don't like flying. The other one is 3 helicopter crashes.
Jesus.
The first 2 were hard landings, Fort Lewis, CSC 360. The third one was also with CSC 360, 9th Infantry Division. We were in Yakima Firing Center doing tactical insertions for training. I was with Scout Platoon. Anyway, the CH-47 bounced into a draw. The rotors dug in 6 inches to the side of the hill. Rotors collided. Rear engines on fire. Hydraulic tanks rupture. Fuel tanks rupture. The belly of the fuselage of the CH-47 pops wide open because the rear rotor came through it, basically cut the thing in half, took off my buddy's leg, Spec 4 Humphrey's right leg above the knee. Well, McCormick was the guy that went back in there to pull him out. So long story short, between 4 situations flying, I don't fly well. Sedate me, it helps.
Does that mean many beers in the airport bar, or does that mean like you need a Xanax?
I'm talking a couple of good Irish coffees.
Okay, all right. And how often do you fly every year?
Oh, he's gone.
Okay, all right.
Sounds like B.A. Baracus.
Jeez.
I think he likes Irish coffees, but I don't know if the caffeine's going to help you, brother.
Yeah, I don't know if that's one's going to knock me out.
Yeah, I'm not against you drinking the whiskey before you get on the plane, but like coffee won't sedate you.
Coming up, the return of Who Sucks Less. You are listening to The Men's Room.
BECU. You've heard the name, seen the letters. But what does BECU stand for? Simply put, not-for-profit BECU stands for people. For charting your own path. For choosing what's right for members instead of what's profitable for someone else. Because they are the reason our credit union exists. So we do everything in our power to help them reach their financial goals. BECU. Power in people. All Pacific Northwest residents are eligible to join. Federally insured by NCUA.